Buonasera, signore e signori. You have all been invited to dine with Miss GERYON on this Atlantic crossing. My name is Vincenzo, and I will be your waiter for this evening. Oh, it seems that we're missing one more guest.
I apologize for my tardiness.
You must be Mr. Lawrence, yes?
Yes, that's me.
Allow me to introduce you to your dining companions. This is Sir BRUNETTO LATINI, the famous jockey of a Florentine nobility. And here is Mr. Jason LEMNOS and his wife.
A pleasure to meet you.
Charmed.
And, of course, Miss FRANCESCA GERYON, proprietress of the GERYON Pharmaceutical Company.
Thank you all for having me here.
I will now be taking your orders. Please, have a look through your menus.
So, Mr. Lawrence, do tell us of your latest work. Mr. Lawrence here is a writer, you see.
Oh, a writer? How fascinating! What kind of books do you write?
Mysteries, mainly. It really is just a hobby of mine. But unfortunately, after I lost my job at the New York Times, I had to start selling my works out of necessity.
Truly a pity. The world can be so cruel at times. It's always constantly changing. Why, even in this day and age, we can see it being redefined before our very eyes.
Miss GERYON is quite right. Even as we speak, transatlantic air travel is now encroaching itself upon the tradition of classic ocean going. I dread airplanes, in all honesty. I find it hard to believe that comfort can be found whilst flying in a cramped tin can like that.
Say what you want, but you can't stop progress. All you gotta do is accept it and move on. I didn't get things done just by sitting around. Even this beautiful lady right here knows just how much of a trouble I had to go through to win over her heart.
Oh, Jason. Isn't he just the sweetest? Really, it is true. Father and Mother never really approved of him. But look at us now. Fresh from Paris and here spending our honeymoon at sea to love's delight.
I share in your exuberance, Mrs. LEMNOS. I am enjoying myself on this voyage quite well. Particularly on a ship that is the pride of my country, if I may add.
Yes, the Andrea Doria is truly an Italian wonder of the seas. And oh, so fascinating, too. Just the other day, Jason was talking about the cars they have on board in the cargo hold garage. Isn't that right, darling? You went on and on about a rumor that there's a Chrysler Horseman or something down there.
It's Norseman, honey. Chrysler Norseman. Women and cars, they don't quite mix now, do they?
But you two are quite the match, aren't you? So, you said you've just been married, if I heard correctly. My congratulations. I hope you two are very happy together.
Oh, most definitely.
That's quite peculiar.
What is?
You two aren't wearing your wedding bands.
Oh, my. I hadn't noticed. Jason, you too? Oh, how embarrassing. I can't imagine how it must have slipped our minds.
So what if we don't have our bands on right now? What matters is that we truly love each other. I think I've made that quite clear.
But love should not be taken so lightly, Mr. LEMNOS. Really, it should come naturally for you to remember to keep a symbol of your marriage on your person like that.
Who are you to say that I don't love my wife?
Mr. LEMNOS, Mr. Latini, please.
I apologize. I meant no offense. I just spoke my mind on behalf of those who have not been so fortunate to express one's love so freely.
Well then, have we decided what we will be having? We wouldn't want to keep the waitstaff.
I just need to return to my room to freshen up. You can come inside if you like.
Well, if it's all right with you.
Of course it is, silly. They won't miss us for too long in the ballroom.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, finally, the last cabin on my shift. Number 19. At least whoever's staying here hasn't made a mess of the room. I'll start with the bed first. This handkerchief. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. Maybe it's just my imagination. Wait, I do know where this is from. No. It can't be. It just can't. I can't. I mustn't be seen. I'll just put the handkerchief in here with the rest of the things. Oh, God!
A toast to Mrs. GERYON for her invitation to provide company at this most wonderful table.
Cheers.
A second toast.
Another? For what, may I ask?
Not what, Mrs. GERYON? For whom? Your son.
Mr. Lawrence, I don't think this is appropriate.
On the contrary, I see no harm in it. Let us toast to the life of my late son, Robert. May he rest in peace.
Is that all? I think there are others of us who'd like for some things to be laid to rest as well.
Why, what do you mean, Mr. Lawrence?
Don't be coy, Miss GERYON. You know who murdered your son. That's all I'd like to confirm.
No, Mr. Lawrence, I don't. Had it not been for my dreadful habit of heavy sleeping, I would have shot him myself. My father taught me how to shoot, and I'm no stranger to the gun.
You are so sure it was a man. You must know who killed Robert, then.
Man, woman. For all I know, it could have been Mrs. Lemnos here.
Mrs. GERYON, I beg your pardon.
As you should. I'm no fool, Gladys. I know what you were speaking of when I caught you by the pool, reminiscing of your time with Robert.
Gladys, honey, what did she mean?
Well, I hope you're happy, Mr. Lawrence. You've spoiled what would have been a rather pleasant evening. Mr. Lemnos, Mr. Latini, I do apologize.
There is no need, Miss GERYON. Thank you for having me here tonight.
I have nothing to be sorry for, Miss GERYON. I will find out who murdered your son.
I'd appreciate your efforts more if you didn't seem to suspect me of killing my own child. But let me leave you with one piece of advice. Be careful what you ask for. Some stones are better left unturned, Mr. Lawrence. I, for one, have learned to accept that.
I will keep that in mind. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lawrence.
Come on, Jovelina. The other crew members are having a get-together in the mess hall.
Oh, I don't know.
It'll be fun, I promise. And there's no use staying all by yourself in this room anyway.
Fine, I'll go.
Oh, it's Jovelina. Finally decided to come out of your shell, eh? But why don't you sit next to me?
Hands off, boys. She's looking for some clean fun. Not with the likes of you.
Jovelina, I was hoping I'd see you again. Would you care to sit with me?
Yes, I'd love to.
Didn't you hear what I just said, Jovelina?
It's all right. Vincenzo was nice to me on my first day, and he helped me around the ship.
There you are.
Thank you.
Oh, Vincenzo is such a gentleman. You planning to bore her with your stories of being a waiter all your life?
You're the one to talk. I've been waiting tables since I was 17, but take it from them, you wouldn't want to hear about that. How about you? How did you end up here?
Well, I used to work.
Ah, that's right. You used to work, and now you don't even do that. I've never seen anyone who couldn't possibly do less than you. Always crying and never knowing what to do. I bet you were fired from your last job. I don't think anyone would want to hire you. Then again, on these ships, they'll take anybody these days.
You don't understand. I wasn't fired. I wasn't fired.
And there she goes, crying and crying. She's gonna drown herself with all those tears.
Gwendolyn!
Vincenzo? Vincenzo! Why are you carrying a revolver with you?
Good evening. How may I help you?
Antonio, I'll take the call.
Can you please hold? Thank you. Are you sure? I can take care of it.
It's no problem.
Here. If you need me, I'll be in the crew's mess.
Hello? It's me, Vincenzo. Yes. We will send it up to your cabin once we reach Gibraltar. I will make sure to deliver it myself. Anything else? A bottle to be delivered to Miss LATINI. Wonderful. Thank you very much for calling. Good night.
We arrived at Gibraltar earlier today. The passengers lined up alongside the promenade deck to get their golden photo opportunity. Interestingly enough, there were merchants who brought their boats to sell their wares to the passengers. The crew then lifted up the several parcels that were purchased, to everyone's delight. I still have much to find, with little avail. I've got a feeling that things are going to come together in a matter of days, one way or another. Yes?
Mr. Lawrence, do you have any idea what time it is? Must you have the need to use your typewriter when other people are trying to sleep? Goodness, I can hear all the bells and whistles from my cabin.
I'm very sorry. I must have lost track of the time.
Make sure it doesn't happen again.
You don't need to worry about a thing. Sleep softly, Miss GERYON.
I can only hope.